Hey, this is Warren. Welcome to the home studio. Thanks to the cool people at Roland Australia. Today we've got the Boss Tube Amp Expander, the Core version, to try out. So we're going to have a look and see what it can do, listen to some sounds, and maybe compare it to some other gear in the studio. So at this point, there's heaps of videos on YouTube already that go through most of the uses and everything that this unit can do. So what I'm going to concentrate on mainly is what I would use it for. In the first instance, I want to just use it as a reactive load and a cab emulator. So basically, I'm going to be plugging the amp straight into it and just taking the two XLR outputs straight into my DAW. For the purpose of this demonstration, I've got this Otago Custom made right here in New Zealand by Mike C at Red Beach Amps. So it's basically a Princeton reverb with a deluxe reverb power section and a post phase inverter master volume. I put the speaker out of the amp running directly into the TAE Core, and it's set on a 1x12 cab emulation with a little bit of reverb. The amp itself is around 8 on the volume. The master volume's cranked up to 10. Treble's pretty high, bass is pretty low, and the mid's somewhere in the middle. I'll use both a Les Paul and a Strat. Let's listen to what it sounds like. For this next segment, we're going to test the TAE Core as an attenuator. So first we're going to listen to the amp directly into the 2x12 below. The amp's master volume is around 3. And then I'm going to run it through the TAE Core and keep the volume on the TAE to match. For most of my direct recording, I use a Suhr Reactive Load into a Universal Audio aux stomp, so I thought it would be cool to compare the Suhr load with the load in the TAE Core. In both instances, you'll be hearing the cab sim from the UA aux just to keep it even, and first you'll hear the Suhr load, and then you'll hear the TAE Core. Next, we're going to look at something I would find really useful in a gig scenario. So now I've got the amp, there's two speaker outputs on it. One speaker output is going directly into the 2x12. The second speaker output is going into the TAE core. And now I've got the TAE running 100% wet reverb, powered by its own amp into the combo speaker. Now, since both the loads are 8 ohms, I've set the amp to 4 ohms because both are running in parallel. This gives us a really compact wet-dry rig. The dry signal's on the 2x12 and the wet signal, which is only the reverb, is on the amp's own speaker. The amp itself is driving the 2x12 and the TAE's amp is driving the combo speaker. I've panned the two signals slightly so you can get some separation on the both of them. So to conclude, where would I find the TAE Core most useful? For me, it's going to be a gig environment. So now either this amp, if it's just too loud by itself, I'll just run the TAE Core in between the amp and the speaker just to get the volume down. I could also use it like a wet-dry rig that I explained before. It's like super compact, everything's in one box, and most importantly, all the effects would be running after the amp's power section. So you can actually drive the amp and have your effects nice and clean rather than going into the front end and distorting it. So in amps that don't have an effects loop or a clean power section, it makes a superb workaround. Hope you enjoyed this video. Please like and subscribe. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.